It looks like a place to improve your body. It is also a place built to make your body feel unfinished. There is a strange feeling that hits a lot of people before the workout even begins. You walk into a gym and almost instantly your body gets louder. Not stronger, not healthier, just louder. You become aware of your arms, your stomach, your posture, the way your clothes fit, the way you walk across the floor, the way everyone else seems to already belong here. The mirrors catch you from angles you never agreed to. The machines look like a language you were supposed to learn somewhere else. And the lighting makes every shoulder and waistline and vein look more important than it did 10 minutes ago in the parking lot. And before you have done a single rep, the room has already told you something about yourself. You are not finished. That feeling is the real engine of the modern gym. Not health, not strength, not even discipline, something quieter and far more powerful than any of them. Not enough yet, not lean enough, not strong enough, not consistent enough, not confident enough. Not yet the person you pictured when you signed up. A gym looks like a place where people go to improve their bodies, and sometimes it genuinely is. But it is also, by design, a place that turns the body into a project, something visible, measurable, comparable, billable, and never quite complete. That is the pattern we are going to pull apart. The modern gym does not simply help you exercise. It stages a permanent gap between who you are and who you are supposed to become. And that gap, it turns out, is the business model. Once you can see how the room produces that feeling, you stop blaming yourself for it. And you start to notice that almost everything in the building, from the mirrors to the membership, is quietly working to keep that gap open. The gym begins long before you ever walk through its doors. It begins in the advertisement, the woman smiling in flawless leggings, the man deadlifting under dramatic light. The before and after photo, the New Year's offer, the summer body countdown, the phrase, "Become your best self." Notice what is actually being sold there. It is not access to equipment. It is a future identity, and that makes fitness one of the only industries where the customer is essentially paying for a version of themselves that does not exist yet. You are not really buying treadmills. You are buying the possibility that one day you'll become the kind of person who uses them. That is why the first purchase is emotional rather than practical. People rarely join a gym simply because they want to move more. They join because they want a conversion. From soft to strong, from anxious to confident, from invisible to seen, from ordinary to transformed. The gym sells the doorway to that conversion. But the doorway is built out of dissatisfaction, and it has to be, because if you already felt like enough, the whole promise would lose its power. This is why so much fitness marketing avoids ever saying the one thing that might actually be true, that your body is already worthy of care. Instead, it says, gently and relentlessly, that your body is a problem, and that membership, discipline, and repetition are the solution. And that is where the pattern quietly begins, because the gym needs you motivated, and motivation is a notoriously unreliable fuel. It burns hot in January and is mostly gone by February. So the industry tends to lean on something far more dependable than inspiration: comparison. You don't just want to be healthy in the abstract. You want to close the distance between the body you have and the body the environment keeps holding up in front of you. And a gym, as we'll see, is one of the most efficient comparison machines ever built. What actually made you join a gym the last time? A feeling, a date on the calendar, a photo, something someone said? Leave your answer in the comments. Gyms are full of mirrors, and there are real, practical reasons for that. People need to check their form. Trainers need to watch movement. Lifters use them to monitor posture and technique. But a mirror in a gym is never only practical. It quietly changes the emotional temperature of the entire room, because a mirror turns exercise into performance. Without one, you simply feel yourself moving. With one, you watch yourself move. and that small difference matters more than it sounds. Research on exercise environments has found that mirrors cut both ways. They can genuinely help with technique, but they can also increase self-consciousness and self-objectification, especially in a space where appearance is already the main event. What the mirror does, in effect, is split you into two bodies, the one doing the work and the one being judged. In ordinary life, those two rarely have to coexist. In a gym, they are forced to stand in the same place at the same time. You are not just lifting, you are watching yourself lift. You are not just running, you are checking whether your body looks like a body that belongs in this room. This is why beginners so often feel exposed at the gym, even when, objectively, nobody is paying them any attention at all. The mirror doesn't need an audience. It builds one inside your own head, and that internal audience is frequently harsher than any real person on the floor. The mirror presents itself as neutral evidence. Here is your progress, here is what changed, here is what hasn't changed yet. But it turns the body into a kind of dashboard, a visual report card that updates with every set, every angle, every passing reflection, every person behind you who looks further along than you feel. It makes improvement visible, which sounds encouraging, right up until you realize it makes insufficiency just as impossible to ignore. A gym might be one of the most comparison-dense environments in all of modern life, because almost everything that usually stays private here becomes visible. Bodies are visible. The weight on the bar is visible. Speed, endurance, effort, and failure are all on open display. You can see how much the person next to you is lifting, how fast they run, how confidently they move, how their clothes fit, how well they seem to know the unwritten rules. And even if you walked in with no intention of comparing yourself to anyone, your brain does it automatically. Because social comparison isn't a personal weakness. It's one of the basic ways human beings figure out where they stand inside a group. The trouble is that the gym takes that ordinary instinct and drops it into an environment where nearly every visible signal points toward ranking. Who's stronger, who's leaner, who knows what they're doing, who's new, who belongs, who looks like the people in the ad. Psychologists even have a name for the specific discomfort this produces: social physique anxiety, the fear that other people are evaluating your body. And research has tied it closely to body image, self-esteem, and how people feel about themselves in exercise settings. The modern gym is almost perfectly engineered to trigger it, with its open sight lines, its walls of mirrors, its form-fitting clothing, its shared equipment, and all those quiet moments between sets when there is nothing to do but stand there and take in the room. So the gym tells you to improve yourself, while the room itself keeps whispering something subtly different. Compare yourself. And comparison is a volatile thing. For some people, on some days it lights a fire. For others, it quietly poisons the very reason they came. You might walk in wanting to feel healthy, and walk out, after enough comparison, having decided that health is really about appearance. That strength is really about status, that movement is really about measurement, and that your body is now a public project being graded by strangers. And here is the part the old version of this story always missed. The comparison no longer stops when you leave the building. The gym followed you home and it lives in your phone now. Open any feed and you'll find an endless scrolling wall of what gets labeled Fitspiration. Expironite. Lean, toned, perfectly lit bodies, usually mid-workout, usually captioned with something about discipline. It looks like motivation. A great deal of research suggests it functions as something closer to a slow leak. Study after study has found that exposure to this kind of fitness imagery is associated with greater body dissatisfaction, lower mood, and a spike in appearance-based comparison. And the mechanism is exactly the one the gym floor already taught you: upward comparison, measuring yourself against an idealized image and quietly coming up short. Some of that research has gone further, linking heavy consumption of this content to disordered relationships with food and exercise. The bodies in these posts are curated, filtered, and selected from thousands of takes, and they are presented at the precise emotional angle most likely to make you feel behind. The gym mirror used to be something you escaped when you walked out the door. Now, an infinite version of it sits in your pocket, available at 2 in the morning, comparing you to strangers while you lie in bed. This is the quiet genius and the quiet cruelty of it. The dissatisfaction that the room manufactures for an hour, the feed sustains all day. You don't even have to enter a gym anymore to feel not enough about not being in one. The comparison engine simply runs in the background of your life. And most people never connect the low hum of inadequacy they feel scrolling at night to the same machinery they walked into at the gym. Now look at how a gym is actually laid out. Chest press, leg press, lat pull down, biceps curl, glute machine, ab station, shoulder press. The body arrives as a single person and is quietly divided into regions: chest, back, arms, abs, glutes, legs. This is genuinely useful for training, but it also rewires how you imagine yourself, because the gym teaches you to see your body not as a whole, but as a set of parts that can each be isolated, corrected, improved, and displayed. That is not how anyone experiences their body in ordinary life. Out in the world, your body is mostly just the way you move through your days. You walk, you carry groceries, you hug your kid, you climb the stairs, you sleep, you live. Inside the gym, that seamless thing gets segmented. Suddenly, a body part can be lagging, a muscle group can be weak, a region can be underdeveloped, and you can walk out dissatisfied not with your body as a whole, but with one specific zone of it that you'd never even thought about before you arrived. This shift is more powerful than it looks, because once the body is broken into parts, there is always another part left to fix. The gym hands your dissatisfaction a map, and the map is profitable precisely because it never runs out of territory. There is always the next thing: the shoulders, the waist, the calves, the posture, the mobility, the endurance. The gym doesn't need you to hate your body, it only needs you to keep experiencing it as unfinished. That feeling alone is enough to keep you coming back and enough to keep you paying. Every gym is full of advertising it never had to pay for the other people. The most fit person in the room becomes a kind of walking billboard, not because they chose to be, but because the environment turns bodies into signals. A trainer with a sculpted physique is doing more than demonstrating competence. They are functioning as living proof of the product, and a single highly fit member crossing the floor can sell the gym's promise more convincingly than any poster on the wall. Research on gym goers has actually examined how members socially compare themselves to attractive, fit trainers, and how that comparison feeds appearance and weight-related motives. This is one of the most important hidden mechanisms in the building, and it works without a single word being spoken. Nobody has to tell you what you're supposed to want, because the answer is standing right there. On the floor, on the trainer, on the screens, on the branded app, on the gym's own social media, on the person using the squat rack with total ease. The room is saturated with aspirational bodies, and they double as the decor, which sets up a strange emotional loop that sits at the center of the whole industry. The gym makes you feel behind, then surrounds you with vivid evidence of what ahead looks like, then offers you the tools to chase it, then charges you every month for access to those tools. But there's a catch built into the loop, a genuine contradiction the industry has to manage carefully. The gym needs just enough dissatisfaction to keep you motivated. But if the feeling gets too intense, if the room makes you feel hopelessly far behind, you simply stop coming. People join because they want transformation, and they quietly disappear when the environment convinces them transformation is too far away to reach. A gym is one of the few places where a newcomer can feel like everyone else got an instruction manual they somehow missed. How do you adjust this machine? How long are you supposed to rest? Where do you stand? How much weight is too little? Is someone already using this bench? Are people watching? Do you wipe it down now or after? What happens if your form is wrong or you just look lost? Beginners don't only face a physical barrier at the gym, they face a social one. A thick layer of invisible rules about equipment and space and timing and eye contact and noise, none of which anyone ever explains. You're expected to learn by watching, but watching is exactly the thing that makes you feel exposed. So a beginner gets caught in a small, miserable loop. I don't know what I'm doing, so I look around to learn. And looking around makes me hyper aware of everyone else, who all look like they know exactly what they're doing, which makes me feel like I don't belong here at all. We tend to call the result laziness or lack of willpower. It is usually nothing of the kind. It is environmental intimidation, and the fitness industry has a habit of locating the problem inside the person. Your motivation, your discipline, when very often the real issue is that the space never made it safe to be a beginner in public. That distinction matters more than almost anything else in this whole story. A beginner doesn't need inspiration first. A beginner needs permission to be awkward, to be slow, to use the light weights, to ask an obvious question, to fail quietly without becoming a spectacle. Plenty of gyms put up signs insisting that everyone is welcome. But the layout, the mirrors, and the unspoken hierarchy often tell a different story. One where only the already confident are actually comfortable. Now we reach the strangest economic fact in the entire industry, and once you see it, the gym never looks the same again. A gym faces a problem most businesses would envy and fear at the same time. It needs huge numbers of members, but it physically cannot handle most of them showing up. If everyone who paid actually came in regularly, the place would be unusable. So, the recurring membership model quietly depends on something almost no business says out loud. It depends on you paying whether or not you ever walk through the door. The clearest example in America is Planet Fitness, and the numbers are genuinely startling once you line them up. A membership can cost as little as $10 a month. The chain has something on the order of 18 million members spread across roughly 2,500 locations, which works out to an average of around 7,000 members per gym, and a typical gym holds maybe 200 to 300 people. At their busiest hours, individual clubs have reported peak crowds of only 50 or 60 people actually working out at once. By one widely cited account, at one location half the members had never shown up even a single time. The model only functions because most members don't come and keep paying anyway. And when you understand that, the rest of the design suddenly makes a different kind of sense. The famously low price isn't just generosity, it's the perfect amount to be too small to bother canceling. The judgment-free zone branding, the free pizza and bagels, the alarm that goes off when someone grunts or drops a weight too hard. All of it is tuned to attract the casual, the nervous, the once-a-month member, rather than the serious lifter who would actually use the place every day. None of this is unique to one chain either. Across the industry, by some estimates, up to 2/3 of all gym memberships go essentially unused. A restaurant needs you to show up to make money. A gym can keep billing you long after you've stopped. That completely changes the emotional economics of the space. You can buy a membership in 5 minutes, but a habit takes months to build. And the industry knows precisely how wide the gap is between buying fitness and becoming fit. That gap is where the guilt lives. You keep paying because canceling feels like an admission of defeat. Maybe next week, maybe after work calms down, maybe after the holidays, maybe once life gets less chaotic. The monthly charge stops being a fee for a service and becomes a small tax on the future self you still hope to become. The unused membership isn't really a financial product at all. It's a storage unit for your intentions. You're not paying because you went, you're paying because you still want to be the kind of person who goes. Which leads directly to the part everyone has felt and few people name. Joining is almost always easier than leaving. Signing up is engineered to be frictionless. A few taps, a card number, done. Canceling, at a lot of gyms, can feel like staging a small escape. The contrast has become such a recognizable consumer protection problem that it has drawn the attention of federal regulators in the United States. In 2024, the Federal Trade Commission finalized what became known as the click-to-cancel rule, designed to force subscription businesses, gyms very much included, to make quitting as easy as signing up. A federal appeals court vacated that rule in 2025 on procedural grounds, so it is not currently in force. But the agency has kept pursuing the underlying behavior through other laws. In 2025, the FTC sued the operator of LA Fitness, alleging that the company let people enroll easily online, while forcing them to cancel only by handing a printed form to a specific manager during limited hours, or by mailing it in at their own expense, with the forms hidden behind a website login rather than the app, and mailed cancellations sometimes simply ignored. The company has contested the allegations, but the shape of the pattern is unmistakable, and it is everywhere in the industry, not at one chain. The reason this works so well is that gyms are not really selling a rational financial decision. They are selling an emotional one about identity. Canceling a streaming service feels like nothing. Canceling a gym can feel like saying out loud, "I gave up. I'm not that person. I failed again." So people don't cancel. They let the membership sit there, quietly draining money because keeping it alive feels like keeping the dream alive. Hope signs up in minutes. Shame cancels slowly, if it ever cancels at all. There is a real difference between health and the appearance of health, and the gym is very good at blurring it. A person can be genuinely strong without looking like a fitness model. A person can be healthy without visible abs. You can improve your heart, your sleep, your energy, your mood, and your mind without ever producing a dramatic before and after photo. But the visual culture of the gym tends to reward only what can be seen. And there's a simple commercial reason for that. Visible progress is easier to sell than invisible progress. A sharper jawline markets better than a healthier resting heart rate. A six-pack photographs. Better sleep doesn't. Reduced anxiety doesn't fit on a poster the way a transformed body does. So the gym becomes this strange place where the most valuable benefits of movement, the ones that actually make a life better, are largely invisible, while the visible ones dominate the entire emotional atmosphere. And that quietly distorts why people move in the first place. Instead of asking how exercise makes your body feel, the room keeps nudging you toward how it makes your body look. It is a subtle shift and a costly one because the two motivations lead to completely different relationships with movement. A person who moves their body as a form of care can build something that lasts for decades. A person who moves only out of shame tends to burn out, because shame is a powerful way to start a workout and a terrible way to sustain a life. Shame can get you to the gym on Monday. It almost never keeps you there in March. Walk through a serious gym and you'll see discipline on open display. People up before dawn, tracking everything, logging every set, wearing monitors, filming lifts, following programs, measuring their recovery. And all of that visible effort creates a moral atmosphere. Because in many gyms, the body stops being read as merely physical and starts being read as evidence of character. A fit body gets quietly interpreted as proof of discipline. An unfit body gets read far too easily as proof of weakness. This is one of the cruelest patterns in the whole of fitness culture, because it turns appearance into morality. A person's body gets treated like a public record of their willpower, when in reality bodies are shaped by genetics, money, time, illness, disability, work schedules, stress, sleep, the food available where you live, medication, age, injury, and a dozen other forces that never show up in a mirror. The gym compresses all of that staggering complexity down to a single visible surface. And then the mirror invites you to judge that surface as if it were the sum of your worth. It's why the gym can feel so emotionally heavy even when, on the surface, nothing dramatic is happening. A person standing at a machine isn't only lifting a weight. They're quietly wrestling with a story about who they are. Disciplined or lazy, serious or weak, winning or falling behind. The gym makes the body measurable, and then the culture around it makes the measurement moral. And suddenly a workout isn't a workout anymore. It's a character test you never agreed to take. Maybe the strangest thing about chasing a transformation is that the finish line never actually arrives. At first you just want to show up twice a week. Then you want to lose a little weight. Then you want more muscle, then better definition, then a smarter training split, then better recovery. Then the right supplements, then better shoes, then cleaner form, then better tracking, then better photos, then a better version of the better version. This doesn't happen because people are foolish or weak. It happens because fitness is one of the easiest parts of life to turn into infinite optimization, since there is always one more number to chase. Weight, reps, sets, steps, body fat, heart rate, sleep scores, personal records. Numbers can genuinely be useful. But when every single improvement quietly generates a brand new insufficiency, the gym stops being a tool and becomes something more like a horizon. You walk toward it and it moves. The entire modern fitness world runs on that moving horizon. It congratulates you for improving, and in nearly the same breath tells you to improve again. The body becomes a project that never graduates, a degree you can never quite finish earning. And maybe that is the deepest reason a gym can leave so many people feeling not enough. Because the gym's ideal customer is not the person who finally reaches satisfaction and stops. It is the person who stays permanently, profitably committed to the next gap. So why are gyms designed again and again to make you feel not enough? Because not enough is an extraordinarily powerful behavioral state. It gets people through the door. It makes the mirrors meaningful and the comparison motivating. It makes the trainers aspirational and the programs feel necessary. It makes the membership feel like hope. and it makes the supplements, the classes, the apps, the apparel, and every upgrade feel like the logical next step. Dissatisfaction, carefully maintained, is one of the most reliable engines in all of consumer life. But it carries a real danger, and not only for the business. The exact same feeling that motivates one person can humiliate the next. The same mirror that helps one lifter fix their form can make another person want to vanish. The same flawless trainer who inspires one member convinces another that they'll never belong. That is the contradiction sitting at the heart of the modern gym. It sells you confidence using an environment built almost entirely out of visible insufficiency. It tells you to come here to feel better about yourself, and then surrounds you on every wall and every screen and in every reflection with reasons to feel behind. And if you don't understand that the room was engineered to produce that feeling, you will do the cruelest possible thing with it. You'll aim it at yourself and call a designed emotion a personal failing. So the next time you walk into a gym, look at it the way you'd look at a stage that's been set for you. Look at the mirrors and notice they aren't only reflecting movement, they're manufacturing self-awareness. Look at the layout and notice it doesn't just organize equipment, it organizes comparison. Look at the trainers, who aren't only coaching, but embodying the promise. Look at the machines that strengthen muscles and, in the same motion, quietly divide your body into a list of problems. Look at the monthly charge that isn't really access at all, but a standing contract with a future version of yourself. And then notice the most important thing of all, that before you lift a single weight or run a single mile, the room has already done its real work. It has already gotten you to evaluate yourself. None of this means the gym is the enemy, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't go. Movement is one of the best things you can do for your body and your mind. Strength is good. A real community, when you find one, can be genuinely life-changing, and plenty of gyms become places of confidence, recovery, and friendship. The point isn't to walk away from the gym. The point is to walk in with your eyes open. To remember that the room is not neutral, that it runs on a script, and that for a lot of people the first line of that script is "you are not enough yet." You are allowed to refuse that line. You are allowed to move because it makes your body feel alive, rather than because it makes you look acceptable, to treat a body that is already worthy of care instead of correcting a body the room decided was a problem. The gym will keep running its pattern, but once you can see it clearly, it loses most of its power over you. And that is the whole point, because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it.